Yeah.
It sucks, but
Yeah, that happens.
yeah,
But it
I
took
know.
a
But
little.
it's happened. It happened on Saturday too, which is kind
Yeah.
of
Oh, really?
Oh yeah.
yeah,
When we
during
had
right
the
in the middle of the
game.
stream.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
I missed
So
that.
It popped out. We saw
yeah,
it, but that's why I wasn't worried because I saw Jay froze, and okay, then we lost him. So then we
give me a
said, Mike, we
second
can
here.
just wait here, and he will come up.
That's annoying. I'm sorry. I appreciate your patience. Something's going on in the area in our neighborhood or something,
Yeah.
because
Well,
it's just
everybody comes home from in the
well,
evening. They put on Netflix and screw out the bed with them.
Maybe.
the internet's like killing. The internet's
Yeah.
dying, you know, and
Mhm.
that's what I can't figure out is why that's happening.
Yeah.
Thank you. Um, Note that I'm going to put something in very shortly, a ticket in or something to Comcast because I can't have this,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. It's terrible.
Yeah, exactly. It's terrible. So, but note that we're back, and thank you for your patience. And it doesn't matter now. You know, it used to matter in the
Yeah.
old days
See
when I was
you
worried, but
all
I'm a
next
partner. It
week.
don't matter
Yep.
now.
Yep.
But it's it's annoying. So
Yeah. And I
remember,
was.
go
Oh,
ahead,
sorry.
Anna. Go for it.
No, I was going to say I was going to when we were discussing the old area, the East, is that it used to be the heartland of the Flan back in the day, so to speak, and that is part of I think the interesting. There is a very interesting prehistory before the Great Kingdom and the Erde came in because then that area was Elven and Flan realms, and you had the
Thank
Flan
you.
kingdom of Alissa and so that was the heartlands of Flan and Elvendom back in the
I'd
day.
say that was kind of true across all the regions, though,
Yes, yeah.
besides the
Try things.
Bakloonish
Oh yeah,
West.
but it kind of lasted
Trying to bring
longer
things back
because
on.
they came from the west,
Took them
so it's
longer to
kind of
get
part.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we might have now in the books that it's Erde and Great Kingdom and stuff, but it's not that long
Thank you
ago.
for your
5, 6,
patience, everyone.
700 years ago or 1,000 years ago, it was a completely different picture. And in 1,000 years, you have a decent amount of ancient history where you can have cool stuff being hidden in dungeons and underground and whatnot. And they can be remnants of old cults still around and whatnot.
It should crash when you're loading up an air, man.
You know, it happens Saturday
Yeah.
night too, and it's got to be something. It's
Yeah.
not my machines. It's not my
Yeah.
service.
Well,
It's the
Patty,
internet in the area. Something's going on. I'm gonna
Yeah.
It's because
But
there's not. I had no crashes. Everything because it's like
Yeah.
boom, and you know it's like
Yeah.
maybe the router. Or something. I
Play
doubt it.
games. Patty has a very good question here. Like, are the Flan the sort of Celts? Kind of. The Flan
Hey,
are
Vancouver,
the Greyhawk, the
coming back
area
on
of the
after a
world that
crash.
the world of Greyhawk is centered around is called the Flanese or the Flanes, depending on how you pronounce it. And that was originally the major of the population were the Flan people. So they were the kind of the natives, the Aborigines or whatever you might say, the original natives of the area, so to speak. So, and then there were a bunch of other people like the Sul, the Origians.
they are whatever the authors needed them to be.
Yeah, exactly. And since this is a fictional world, it leaves a lot of room for your own kind of interpretation and use.
I like to think that the Celt connection always keeps being brought up, and I think maybe that's because of how far spread out over the map they are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But that's it.
Thank you for bearing with us. Thank you.
You know, I don't really attribute Celtic names or dress or anything, you know, that specific to that. No.
No, and they seem to have dark olive skin and dark hair and stuff like that. So they were so they were. I think in a lot of ways they're unique. They're kind of a cool fantasy version of humans that you can kind of tweak the way you want, so to speak. It leaves a lot of interesting stuff that you can kind of add. And I think that was the whole point, to make it a fantasy setting that you can kind of tweak to your own needs as a Greyhawk DM. Yeah.
All right, so part 2 that Mike was agreed upon was split is the Iron League, right?
Yes. Yeah, okay. The Iron League. Yeah. Mike, please indulge us a little bit about the Iron League and stuff. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's definitely a thematic split here. I know it's part of the Great Kingdom and everything, but it's got its own thing going on. The struggle of the Iron League versus the South Province and everything. And there is a distinctive like mountain got the Glorioles and the Hessmark Highlands and the Iron Hills. There's a definite, even a geographic division there.
Yep.
And
Oh yeah.
the strong coastal thing too, being on couples, if you include Sundee and the Lordship of the Isles, I would throw in a strong nautical theme to them, which is not, I don't really associate the Great Kingdom with nautical.
Not really. They were
even
landlubbers too, it seems to very much. Yeah.
But so
and also,
I like to think of the Iron League is a big unit.
And also it was political kind of movement that was kind of made in order to fight against the Great Kingdom and the influence as a way to stay outside of it. So
in the 1980 folio, when I was a kid and I saw it, and you got all them, and it said, and the location said member of the Iron League. I thought that was so cool. I thought it was neat. But I didn't play over there. But I thought it was neat. So
if you look at the shield for every one of them, they have an Iron League logo stamped on them.
Yes, as you can see it right there.
There you go. It's like a square. It's like a part of the bars, like a bars and one of these reinforcement in the middle, so to speak, so to show a strength. So it's
even here.
Oh yeah.
ID. So very cool.
So you can throw the South Province or the United Kingdom of Alyssa, or whatever you want to call it. You could throw that even in there just to beef it up, give it a little more rounded regional area. And Old Erde East still has, half the map.
Oh yeah, it's still
it's huge.
Yeah, that both the Erde regions are big. Yeah. So should we jump over and take the other half of the Erde core lands? So take the Erde West, the Nyrond Basin, so to speak.
10, right? How about Bandit Kingdoms?
Nope. That's a separate story that we get to. But and the Erde West,
don't say that Von Mukus, it'll be all separate. Ernst,
but
Nyrond,
the Erde West is kind of interesting. And when I read the Adventure Begins, they said some really interesting part of the Erde West, that those were the places, the original settlements for the Origins in the Flannies, where they reached before they reached and formed the Great Kingdom and stuff. So that means that places like Relmord and other of these cities are probably the oldest Erde cities in this part of the world, so to speak, or the origin that exists today. So it's kind of interesting, and that to me it's an interesting part, and it's also the part that they broke away. The western part kind of just faded away from the old Pharaon, but the Nyrons broke away from the Great Kingdom more by force, so to speak, or they were determined and threw themselves. And then you had
they were added to the Great Kingdom by force too.
That's true, but it's interesting because there you have two sides of Erdedom, so to speak, and you have the Nyrond side of things, and then you have the Great Kingdom side, and you have the center around Relmord, and it basically the area between the Gamboge and the Celadon forest, and also between Relmore Bay and Nyrond and the Nirdiv.
Jacques the Pale.
Yes, that's part of it too, because that was part of the Great Kingdom. So up until the southern borderlands of 10 as well. So up until so that's why you have that area from there to south was part of it, but not the Bandit Kingdom and stuff. And that we get to that part soon. But to me, that historical part is interesting. That it's really old Erde lands, and you can put some really cool old legends and stuff like that you can use, and artifacts being manufactured there long ago, and various things like that.
If Furiani's good area, Nyron and Great Kingdom's the evil. Nyron's kind of in between there.
They seem to tend towards good lately, but they are more kind of a strong state, Exactly, a strong lawful state rather than firmly on the good or the evil side, so to speak. They're in that way they follow the tradition of the city of Greyhawk, that is also part of not being firmly on one or the other. But it's a bit up to you. I put Nyron nowadays in my campaign firmly in the good camp, but Pale not so. And Pale is one of the theocracy of the Pale. If you want to have like fanatic cleric somewhere, I think Pale is your place. And in the Gord books, it's kind of interesting how they talk about the Tenna hosts and the Palites as nasty buggers that chase Gord and stuff.
Chase Gord a long way. It's kind of
exactly,
like Butch Cassidy, where they just keep on chasing.
Yep. So it's kind of a road trip across those lands. And then you have the Frostwood, that is kind of an interesting place up there too. Special trees and stuff that glows in at night. And there's also plenty of big rivers. You have the that is probably the biggest river by water amount, and that's the Nesser that drains the Nudiv into the Relmore Bay. And then you have the Duntide that goes through the center of Nyrond, and the Harp in the east. And then you have the Franz in the center up there. That's that drains into the Nesser, so to speak, that comes from the Gamboge forest and stuff. So, and then you have the other one, the Artonsamai River, that forms the northern boundary of this, one of the biggest rivers in the Flannies as well. That is the borderland
a lot of
between
geographic boundaries, river, trees.
River. And where you and then on the borderland, on there you have the some of the other interesting big cities like Stoink and and you have Radagast City, you have Lukish or Lukish.
So it's a heavily populated area.
Yep. And then you have, of course, Relmord, you have Mobren, Heldren, Helgood.
I'm trying to stay ahead of it.
Yeah, it's Woodwidge, meaning you have a bunch of big metropolises and cities. This area is old and established. Lots of people live here. So there's plenty of places for city adventuring in this region. Just like it is in Erde East, you have lots of big cities like Relastra, Rossies, Relmord, Reldevon.
Isn't Nyron second most populated after the Great Kingdom now?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, I think Nyron probably has like what is like 1.5 million or almost 2 million or something like that. These are large population areas with lots of big cities. And also you can have if you want to have tournaments and stuff like that, big festivities and stuff, this could be your place.
Valmoku, what's the population of Relmord now? Do you know, Michael? Valmoku, this is his area. I mean, it's a lot, isn't it? Relmord's huge, isn't it?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it's at least
50,000.
50. Yeah, I'm sure.
46.5. He says. There you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
So good call, man. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
See, you got to know in this community, you have people who play in certain areas, and you know them. So we know that Valmoku, Nyron's his area.
Yep.
Just know, and that's a good thing, man. It has game and all, and it's just, so cool. Very cool. So Erde West, I think the adults, which means 90,000 with children.
That's
wow.
adults.
Wow.
Yeah. So you have like in the 100,000. If you count every person, you'll probably end up in the bit over 100,000 people.
Very cool.
Yep.
And Ernst, one of them is completely Sul, isn't it? The duchy.
Well, the duchy seems to be more Sul than the county.
Yeah. They pride themselves on Suldom, don't they? I think
but they are the good Sul in a way. They're not the evil kind of Sul. They're the good Sul. So yeah. And County of Ernst seems to be another one of these bastions of good in a lot of ways, and it's kind of also seems to be one of the bread baskets along with Nyron that has a lot of agriculture. People are well fed and
thank you, Amy.
And so on. Yeah.
Duchy's more. That's what I thought. Very cool.
I imagine the Ernsts have not seen war in quite a long time.
Exactly. Ernst and Valuna seems to be the ones that have kind of the Ernst and Valuna and Keoland are some of the most stable realms in that sense.
It's crazy.
And you can tell when the living Greyhawkers had to do a lot of internal strife rather than war with anybody. So, yeah.
See, here's a problem I have with Rary the Trader. So Rary goes down to the Brightlands. He creates the realm of the Brightlands.
Yeah.
The Bright Desert becomes the Bright Lands.
Yep.
Right. And he makes himself a monarch, yada yada. Why doesn't the Duchy of Ernst just, army up and take it over? Instant, just,
Yeah.
oh, you're a kingdom now, huh? Attack.
Yeah, it might be, but yeah. Well, on the other hand, in game terms, it has happened only recently.
This is true.
Yeah, so they might.
Everyone should be real hot at Rary for trying to mess with things. So Greyhawk City should be after him.
So as long as he stays on his side of the hills, they might. Yeah. So it's kind of interesting. And
he should have a lot. There should be a lot of countries ganging up on Brightlands.
Yeah, because the Ernsts and Nairon has a lot of manpower and stuff. So they can gather resources that few other countries can, especially.
Yes, they're just out of. Yeah. Yes, the Eberalls is forbidding. There's few passes in or out. It is hard to conquer.
Yep.
Unless you're
and it's a lot of wilderness to go over and on the desert, so I might not be that keen on sending soldiers that way. So
Justin, you're in. Justin Ludlow, you're in. I just wanted to check.
Okay,
so.
good.
Well, you can conquer it easy. It's then holding it is the problem.
But on the other hand, they must just want to go on a raid and ruin the place and then come back again and then do the same thing over again or something. Yeah.
Yeah,
but now I think we need to, we alluded to one region so often that I think we need to go to it next, and that's the northern reaches. That is the next west of the early west. And that's one of the, in another one of these kind of favored regions where you have
AKA
a lot of
the Empire of Ayus.
Yes,
or timeline you use.
Yeah, because it's basically the Empire of Ayus and Shield Horn Society, Shield Lands, and the Bandit Kingdoms, and then 10. That's the northern reaches or the Empire of Ayus, depending on. I think in Adventure Begins they called it the Empire of Ayus, but that was because that was newly established that Ayus have conquered it all. In Living Greyhawk Gazetteer they call it the northern reaches, which I kind of like better than, because it is more than the Empire of Ayus, and especially historically it's way more.
Yeah, and it counts as Shield Lands too.
Yeah, exactly. And it's one of these interesting, and I think that one of the main reasons that this is a separate and is not included either in Ferrond or the Erdi West, because it was never really fully conquered by the Great Kingdom. Most of this region was outside of the Great Kingdom. The only part that was fully into the Great Kingdom was the Shield Lands, and maybe not the full Shield Lands, but the lower part, so to speak, the kind of civilized that they had that span north, the coast. They probably wanted a land bridge between east and west, and that's probably why they conquered it. And then they skipped the uncivilized barbarian kind of up there.
A canyon, a volcano.
Yeah. But it is a very, very interesting region with enormous amount of adventure potential. Yeah, so you have interesting realms like the Land of Ayus, Horn Society, both evil bastions in the, whether the Ayus have conquered them both or not, that's up to your time frame and how you develop it politically. And then you have the Shield Lands, and Bastion of Good, or maybe just corrupt, inept knights, depending on how you swing it, so to speak. And then you have the other kind of chaos warlords, complete bonkers realm of the Bandit Kingdoms. That is, and then you have the one of the coolest geographical features, the Rift Canyon in the middle of it, and the White Plume Mountain, the huge volcano in the middle there too. So you have some geographical things. It has a coast of the Nirdiv coast. And so it has a lot. You have some big forests, the Fell Reeve, the Tangles, and part of the Frostwood are big forests that kind of fall into this region as well.
Yeah.
No enormous mountains though, but you have the Howling Hills, I think the coolest mountain locations in the whole of the setting in some ways, where you have overrun by humanoids, shadow
What about
dragons.
the Roe versus the Barons? That's part of this area
Exactly,
too.
that's part of that
Tim's
too.
area.
So yep. So you have the really far north. So
mysterious Tim.
Yep. And then you have probably the most forgotten, apart from the western
Tim,
northwestern
what date are we
coast.
playing? I'm just asking Tim. I forget what day it is, Tim. I'm lucky if I know what. Here, I'm going to tuna fish sandwich myself. All right, Tim. When's that game? Saturday morning.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm hoping it's the 12th. I just don't remember. So
Yeah. It's good, Amy. You agree with me that the Howling Hills are some of the most interesting realms or adventuring locations in the whole of the Flanies. I think it's kind of, to me, it's super interesting when you have places like the Soul
Thanks, Alex.
Husks and the
19.
the
Thanks.
Drenghus, and then you have, yeah, there's a whole bunch of other cool stuff here. So you have Kendragund and Ursunagard and Drenghus and the Soul Husk Caverns and yeah, the Groaning Mines and stuff. Yeah, and the Howling Hills. Then yeah, it's kind of super cool.
A neat area, a lot to do, a lot of
Mhm.
the Bandit Kingdoms alone has some fun stuff. Anna and I both have games in the Shieldlands and all this.
Yep,
Our
that's my
Shieldlands are
current
drastically
adventure
different,
location.
this is probably the most
Yes.
different area on the map with more people because of just what happened after the wars, and then how much is back, how much isn't. That's a lot of conjecture there.
Yeah, Shieldlands, it's a bit like Almor that got crushed and,
Yep,
and beaten
18.
to a pulp in during the Greyhawk Wars.
That's what usually happens in my campaign.
Yeah.
Like crushed lands.
Yep.
So and then you have one of the iconic old adventuring locations in the White Plume Mountain that you have had a White Plume Mountain and a Return to the White Plume Mountain and some other stuff.
Return to White
Yeah.
Plume Mountain.
So it's one of these kind of.
And Tim, look what made it on my map here. What's that say? Fortress Elendar. What's that?
Yeah. There you go.
Right there. A classic.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And then you have places like Thinker's Hut, and you have the great effluvial swamp, and where you have is it a night hag or something that has juju zombies or some sorry, it's there's a lot of interesting old legends and stuff.
Thank you, Casey.
Going up there. So it's kind of really cool place, and the Rift Canyon can't be expressed enough how cool that place is. I think has enormous potential. You have Rift Crag up there, and Dragotha's Lair, and a whole bunch of cool stuff.
Eric Annenson did a lot of great maps.
He did a fantastic map of
Mike,
this area.
he's in chat right now.
Oh,
that's why
awesome! Welcome,
yeah,
Eric.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your map work. It was fantastic. It is fantastic.
Thank you so very much.
Yep.
So that's a cool area. As we're let's hit. Should we skip the Sheldomar and save it for another time and get the others done?
Sure.
All right, let's skip
we
Sheldomar.
You can do a special show on Sheldomar, so you can kind of dig into your stuff as well. So we can do that. Yeah.
He says, I don't. Casey says, I don't buy Dragotha's Lair being there in the Rift Canyon. Is that for Major Worms? Anna, it's from yours.
That's the thing. So
Yes.
no, it's not from. I think I placed it there early, and it probably needs to go into and it's simply the only thing we really know about it is in the Return to White Plume Mountain. There is a map with an arrow pointing in that direction to Dragotha's Lair. I think that's the only thing we know about it. So I just followed that and realized that it's probably a good idea to have it in the Rift Canyon itself. That was my thinking, because otherwise I don't think we have a firm location. But that's my
Let's do Bakloonish West next. How's that sound?
Sure. Yeah. And then we have I think this is the biggest region
down to the Sulhat Mountains.
Yeah,
it's bordered by the mountains on.
Wow, so Paynim's all in here too. Dry steps all the way down. Wow.
And the main reason it's so big, it's because this is what used to be the central lands of the Bakloonish Empire back in the day. So so this before the twin cataclysms and stuff. This was the Bakloonish.
Tusmet.
Yeah, and then you have the leftovers in the north that was not wiped out in the in the cataclysms.
Yeah.
So there you have the biggest.
The Mike area of all.
Exactly.
Yeah. And like has been mentioned before, it's called the Bakloonish West because we're talking about riders from the Flannis. because this is actually the Bakloonish East to Bakloon.
Exactly, that's the interesting
Right.
thing. It's called in the books here, it's called the Bakloonish West, but it's the Bakloonish East, because there is a Bakloonish west of the Gulf of
Oh,
And
Gayar
I can't go
that
that
we
far.
haven't, that is barely detailed. There's some people that have done some work on it. So
Yeah.
so if you Google enough and go in Canon Fire and stuff, there are some maps and some ideas and stuff for it. So yeah.
Alec Bar's. Where's a couple of talisman of Alec Bar adventure? I know it's placed here somewhere.
Oh yeah, you go south and you go to south of Ull, southeast of Ull along the Crystal Mist. That's
Dry
where I put it.
steps.
Yeah, it's right in here, right?
That's where Anna
yeah,
put it.
Yeah.
It's
Yep,
not
that's where I
official.
put it in the Sultanate of Arir. That's from
Right here.
There you go.
yeah,
Yep.
So I put it there as one of the leftovers, or barely hanging by leftovers of the Bakloonish Empire. So,
Nice.
and you also had the capital of the Bakloonish Empire was where the in the center there is the Lake Udruka,
Lake.
when you have Kanak and the Tuvag Baragu. That area, that was, if I remember correctly,
So is Kanak the capital?
I'm not sure,
or-
but I think I've read
Yeah.
or I think I've remember somewhere that this was the center of the Bakloonish Empire. But I might be wrong.
Yeah.
But the natural thing is that this was probably back in when it was not that dry, before cataclysm stuff. That was probably a large lake there, and there was a big river going west
Right.
out into the Gulf of Gayar.
True.
And then when it dried out, now it's just a little salt lake in the
I like
middle,
it.
and the river west is only maybe seasonal every summer or when there's a little bit of snow melt and stuff, then there's a sprinkle of water going that way. But so it's kind of, yeah.
That's still a large lake. It's not like a.
Oh yeah, it's probably, it's like the Lake of
Salton Sea.
Aral or something
Oh.
like that. It's been devastated over due to climate changes and the cataclysms and stuff
So
So
like
it
that.
is a Salton Sea.
Yeah,
near
yeah.
you.
So exactly, it's
Yeah.
like probably just a brine lake that is
Ugh.
left there, and water that is not
Not
drinkable
potable,
or
yeah.
anything. So yeah.
Utah.
Yep. So it's one of these kind of, but it's also interesting because it gives a lot of wilderness that you can kind of have interesting things. And if you read the Gord books, Gord travels through this area down to the Sea of Dust, and when he's on the hunt for the Theor part. So there he
Now,
travels.
is that
into.
its own area? Sea of Dust.
Sea of Dust was actually not mentioned as one of that's one of my
Ah,
other
Isolated
regions.
realm.
Exactly. That was I want to kind of have it as a separate realm or region,
Okay.
because it has a special both history and kind of geography and all that. So this is the land where the old Sewell Empire was. And then in the Twin Cataclysm, it got wiped out and turned into a dust bowl, literally. And then now it's a depression that is full of
You have
dust
this.
and dried out. And there's exactly Lenonakar is one of the few remnants leftovers, and there's some old ruined places and stuff. So it's a super interesting place for adventuring, and anyone who wants to go there, I recommend to read the Gord books, The Sea of Death by Gary, because it has a lot of cool details and stuff of this. Otherwise, I don't think there is that much published apart from the Gord books.
So
There's
the
some-
focus of the regions would be in describing the areas that exist on the Darlene map. So what little we know about the Sea of Dust, that's why it gets lumped in with like the Amedio Jungle,
Yeah.
Northern Monoland. It's just these leftover fringe areas.
Mhm.
That's
Yep. And they are geographically outside of the Flanies, so it kind of makes sense. And they're also far away from the Great Kingdom. They never reached this.
and are historically forgotten realms.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So the Sea of Dust is one
Good
of
one.
these outside or that was not included in the official lists. And another one is Amedio, that is just to
Yeah.
the right of the Hell Furnaces, that are the most interesting mountain range after Howling Hills. I think it's one of these places that I think was just part of there was the Southern Crystal Mist, and then in the Twin Cataclysms it was turned into a hellscape with volcanoes and stuff. That's what if I remember correctly. So yeah, so it
Dormants,
was part,
then-
and the elves used to live there and stuff back in the day,
Ooh.
and it was probably a very wonderful place just north of the equator and subtropic and up in
See
the
you,
mountains.
Patrick. No, Earthscribe in the Gord books. Sea of Death is what? Book 3 in the series, the Gord the Road novels.
Yes, I think so.
Yes.
After the Artifact of Eden, I
Yes,
think
it's book
Sea
3
of
in
Death.
the Gord novels
Mhm.
series.
Yep.
So thank you,
And
Patrick.
probably written during his time at TSR, and then he had to change a few things, and then published under New Infinities,
Long
and
day.
not the yeah.
Long crazy day here. So
Yeah.
all right. So so the you have the Medio as a separate area, or is it a part?
Media is not mentioned as
Oh,
one of
no,
these
okay.
regions, so it's one of these leftover regions.
Isolated.
We're gonna
Yeah.
skip
Mhm.
the
Isolated.
Sheldomar.
Yeah, so because we've been done all the other regions except the Sheldomar. So now we have the other regions, and the Medio is one which is kind of, to me, interesting for several reasons. There are some old modules set in that region mentioned. Let's see here. We have
Sassarine's in there.
yeah, Sassarine from Paizo-Hawk era, and so that was I think the biggest contribution that Paizo made to Greyhawk
And
was
Cauldron's
the Sassarine
placed
area.
after the fact.
Exactly, and Cauldron is shoehorned in there.
Right.
It was not written
Those
for Greyhawk
are
originally.
Post Leningrad Gazetteer and
Yeah.
these 9 regions we're
Mhm.
talking about.
Yeah.
If Sassarine had been around prior to Roger Moore, I think that would have made him rethink his regions.
Oh yeah, definitely. And so this is Paizo-Hawk,
Well,
biggest
this is
edition by Paizo.
James
to
Jacobs had
Greyhawk.
Sassarine in his campaign, right? And that's where it came from.
That
If I
might,
recall correctly.
I think,
from the
yeah, I think so.
discussion.
Yeah, mhm.
Yeah.
And I think it's a great addition to the Greyhawk setting down there. And it's really cool. And the heraldry there is mine.
Awesome.
That's my design that I added in, and I kind of I
Cauldron.
basically merged the
Yep.
Cauldron was mentioned to be set in that place, and I kind of tried to merge things in there and create the geography from the Savage Tide campaign and from the Cauldron book and the Dragon and the Dungeon magazine articles that kind of went with it. So there's a lot of cool stuff. And then we have, there's also the Tamukan, or whatever you pronounce it, the old, that one is there, go east a bit, and there you go.
Hidden Shrine of Tamokan, C1.
Yeah, Tamukan, yeah. That one is set down there too.
Remote.
Yeah. And so that, and then you also have in the middle, you have the Olman Isles, another that I think kind of belongs in the same region here. Olman Isles, that is part of Greyhawk ancient and old history that kind of got forgotten. It's mentioned in old, because the Olmans have I think a glorious part to play in Greyhawk that is often overlooked, so to speak, and not detailed. And then we have the other one of the forgotten regions that was kind of, should definitely be mentioned, but was forgotten in this discussion, and that's the Tilbana Peninsula, where the Scarlet Brotherhood,
they want to be forgotten.
Yeah, exactly. They want to be forgotten. So but it should be mentioned, because geographically and politically and stuff, it's one of the more interesting areas. You have
It definitely is
a hidden plateau where you have a bunch of Sul that have started a secret empire of sorts, and it's starting to trying to influence their neighborhood and surroundings, or the whole of the Flanese, depending on how ambitious you want to be with them.
What's the elevation of the plateau?
I bet that is about 10,000-15,000 feet. That's
so
my,
it's
my
like
guess.
the top of Chile.
Yeah, it's a
So it should
it's a
never
high
rain
zone.
there.
No, it's probably very dry. The only reason is that it gets some humidity is because it's so close to the tropics.
Okay.
So it's probably get so yeah. So by 10,000 feet, meaning you get the occasional rain and stuff, but it's much drier. That's why I tried to depict. You have a lot of rainforest and forest
down south,
below it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but up there it's kind of dry prairie,
cool.
so to speak. So yeah, so it's dry prairie, almost semi-desert up there. And then down in the surrounding it is rainforest, basically, or very wet forest. And so you either have subtropic, or you have monsoon country, or you have tropics. And then we have the other one we need to mention, and that is the Solnor Isles. And that's where I include everything from the Spindrifts down to the Lordship of the Isles. and the sea barons up there, they are included in the Eastern Airdy because they were kind of close and part of the Great Kingdom history. But then you have all the other isles here that I think forms a region in itself when it comes to the Greyhawk. So you have the Spindrifts and the Lendor Isles up in the northern of this region that are kind of interesting because they have a very, very special story, especially Lendor Isles, because it was Len Lakofka's part of
Campaign.
the setting. Yeah, and his campaign. And then the Spindrifts is one of the most forgotten realms that are just mentioned as an elven realm, and then we have nothing. We have no settlements, nothing. We just have, and it's interesting because it's mentioned as the Lendor Isles realm all in all, and it's kind of iffy because I think Len had his idea that the Spindrifts were not, Lendor Isle was its own place and not part of the Spindrift. But if you go on the published things, it becomes a different story, especially in the LG area where elves conquered the whole thing and kind of isolated it. And yeah, it was a lot of stuff that I know Len didn't like. But
Yeah.
yeah, so it's been kind of, to me, it's been kind of a mistreated, half forgotten realm that could have had a much more interesting place or prominent place in Greyhawk history if it's been detailed more carefully, I think.
Absolutely.
And I also have it as in my campaign, I'm looking into it that one of the reasons that the Lendor Isles is populated by so many interesting things is that it's the water is kind of shallow all the way up to mainland. So back in the day when you have ice ages and stuff and the ocean level much lower, it was actually part of the mainland.
Oh,
so that
okay.
way you can have a lot of monsters and various animals and stuff could have actually migrated and lived there. So then it was part of highlands in a much larger Flanies back in the day. But in my campaign, that was back 3,000 years or so ago, or 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 years, something. So that was back in the heyday of the Flan and stuff. So that's why you have a lot of rich history in that area that is kind of half forgotten now and part of myth and legend.
Okay. Then you have Monoland.
Yeah, and then we have the northern part of the Monoland. The southern part is very different because it was not included in the original setting books of the Greyhawk, but they were detailed in the Scarlet Brotherhood source book. That's when we got the rest of Monoland. But then it's also different because down south we have the Tuov, we have Almonds and stuff. But in the northern part, we have a lot of influence from Scarlet Brotherhood. They conquered a lot of it and stuff. But there's still some interesting. You have some snake half breeds and some very kind of cultist kind of interesting places and there's some dragons and there's some other stuff down there. And it's a tropical jungle-y area, just like the Emedio, where you can have a lot of interesting things you can hide in jungles, and you have literally hundreds of thousands of square miles of jungle and wilderness, so you can hide a lot down there. That could be cool adventures.
So if you take the bottom fourth, I believe, I'm trying to think if it's third or fourth. So if you take the bottom 1/4 of the maps, at Monoland, Emedio, Tilbana, that whole band across there.
Yeah.
That's what in my campaign I refer to as the South Seas. That would be the geographic region I would assign to it. Because once you have the Scarlet Brotherhood supplement, it actually expands your map further south. And now you have the South Seas.
Yeah.
And a lot of islands and everything. Denzite Gulf. So it's a geographic.
Does that count the Isle of Dread too, or is that too far south?
Exactly. Isle of Dread is kind of
that's very South Sea.
Yeah, it's kind of almost its own because it's so far away from any of the mainlands.
Right.
So it's a bit like Hawaii or something. It's way out there, or like Fiji or something. It's way out in the middle of
I just
things.
think thematically, the way I've played it is from the Hold of the Sea Princes all the way over to the, Lordship of the Isles, Lendor Isles. So from one side of the map to the other side of the map, it's just one big sea-based campaign.
So you don't count this Hold of the Sea Princes in the Sheldomar?
It is politically, but I think thematically it could stand on its own, especially now that we have Sassarine and Cauldron.
Right.
Jeklia Bay it's like it's a huge.
It's huge.
Body of water.
Yeah.
If where you have it centered right there, that's a whole, that could be a campaign region on its own.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's definitely but originally when they took these regions, that was the very south edge of the Sheldomar Valley, and to be fair, that's because that was also the southern border of the empire of Keeland back in the day at Westkeep and stuff. So it is really the borderlands. So in a way, I would say the Sea Princess probably belongs more to the Medio than to Sheldomar Valley, but it's definitely the borderlands there. And we have to remember, these aren't fixed borders or any, it's more like general descriptions. It's like where Europe ends and Asia starts, so to speak.
Right.
There's different definitions where you talk to a geographer or someone who's into political history and stuff. So it's kind of, this is more like just to get an idea of the settings, different regions of the setting. Yes, there you have it.
Hannah, are there any sources of water here cold enough for barnacles to form?
Barnacles?
It says brinicles.
Okay, that's interesting.
Brinicles, sorry.
Yeah,
barnacles.
but barnacles, I think barnacles, they are different species of barnacles. And
what's brinicles?
Yeah, barnacles are small crustaceans that they fasten themselves on rocks and stuff, and they open a little hole, and then they have a little arm, and they shovel in food like that. So and they can also sit them even on whales and boats and stuff like that. So everything that they can hold on to. That when they're larvae, they float freely in the ocean, and then when they reach a certain stage of their life, they find somewhere and they kind of stick to
here. Cold water's
yeah.
up.
But I've seen barnacles from the Scandinavian waters, and I've seen them in Hawaii. I've seen them on African coast. So I think there are barnacle species basically all over the ocean.
Okay,
regardless of temperature. Yeah,
you went off on a wild goose chase there. Brinicles is a this is a question for Troy, probably.
Yeah.
It's
Brinicles is a downward growing hollow tube of ice enclosing a plume of descending brine that's formed beneath developing sea ice. Well, yeah.
Brinicles.
Brinicles.
That's all up here.
Barnacle and brinicles are
all up in the ICC, Grenda Bay, all up here.
Yeah.
The Drawmage, ocean, all up here. Yep. Sorry.
Yeah. So probably.
Yeah. But barnacles is often seen as invasive species, especially if they hit waters that they normally not have, like on under boats and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And that's another interesting thing. In a fantasy setting, you can make big barnacles. You can make barnacles that are really big, that are predators, that have a big hand and just grab things and drag them in and lock them in, so to speak. So because just make them 20 times bigger, and they could be really, really interesting monsters in a way. So yeah, you can have really big barnacles, and they can be interesting. They're because normally they are puny. They're like a few centimeters at best big, but make them 10 feet big or something, and they could be very interesting animals or monsters. So yeah.
So we'll skip the Sheldomar because the Sheldomar is a large area of detail. We have done a Sheldomar one before, but we'll catch it. We'll go back to that.
Yeah.
But no, go ahead, Anna. Go for it. No,
I was going to say, I hope that we covered, made a few little kind of jumps in and here and there, and made a few interesting points that kind of inspire you to look at some of these regions even more for your own adventuring and stuff.
We wanted to concentrate on the more obscure ones tonight. So, that was what we wanted to do in this regional cartography discussion on Greyhawk. And, we always can go into detail on more in other areas. Good. Hey, that's the point. Get inspiration no matter where it comes from for Greyhawk. And we're trying to keep that rolling. And, I'm hoping that a lot of you were inspired from the unbelievable weekend we had.
Barnacle beholders. Now we got something. We got giant
barnacles.
Oh
my gosh! Now we're getting crazy here.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. I think a lot of these kind of tiny sea creatures becomes really interesting if you make them big. They can be really interesting monsters. Yeah.
So please note that this last weekend we're up to $20,490. So we met our goal plus. and hopefully that inspires the community to keep this thing rolling. With all the great 11 streams we had, and it was a fantastic weekend. And we're back to regular stuff. But boy, do we have a lot of content coming, a lot of great things.
Yep.
So inspiration, comes in many different places. But just note that we are here. That's cool, man. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Just a quick shout outs, and we'll do the giveaways, and we'll find someone to raid into. Mike, what is going on in your neck of the woods?
Well, as usual, I'm playing in some Greyhawk games. We're in a game. I finished Steading of the Hill Giant Chief 5e.
Wow!
Out of the
how'd that go?
Tales from the Yawning Portal book. How did it go? It was pretty good. There was a lot of fighting. And now old Chief Nosnora got away. So
who DM'd it?
To live another day. Me.
Oh, great! That's awesome.
Yep.
Awesome.
Otherwise, I'm in Rich's campaign. We're tooling around in the isolated realms of the Olman Isles. Can't wait to see what we do next.
Yeah.
And we got Gary Con fast approaching. I keep dismissing it, but the next thing I know, it'll be here.
It's coming up super duper.
Yeah.
I know it sounds corny. Fast.
I need to get winter clothes next week.
It comes up. It's coming up fast.
Yeah.
And so gold badge is open, and now we're to silver. Right? We're silver's coming up this week. Thank you.
For signing up?
Sign-ups. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
My game is sold out already, so thank you for that, which is awesome. And of course, I can't find what I'm looking for. There it is.
I think I'm silver badge, so never had a chance.
Well, there's one seat. They open up one seat for silver. Yeah. So if you raid into bipolar dice roller, you may make their day. I'm not raiding into a 5e spelljammer. Sorry. I can't. I can't. I can't do it. You're making me shake, Mac. You're making me shake. I don't even see him in my list. I don't even see him in my list, man, of them running. Let me take a look. All right, so 5e Spelljammer. Oh my gosh. So Mike, we have a Legend of Lore Gary Con, right?
Yep.
Yeah. That's why
we do.
Yes, we do. We have a Legends Lore and a fantasy mapping show at GaryCon. We'll talk about that more as we're coming up. I've reached out to Luke Gygax to have a Gabin for pre-Gabin GaryCon again. We will see. So if that happens, if he can get on as well. So Anna, what is going on in your world?
First of all, this week will be me having 3 blog posts, one for each tier of my patrons. So the top tier Patreon blog post is written. I'm just going to read it through and edit it, kind of weed out the worst typos and stuff. And it will be about a secret project that is coming up that I'm planning and stuff. So it will be the kind of the first sneak peek into my thinking around that project. And then it will be for my mid-tier patrons, the Meyerhawk tier, so to speak. There will be an overview with a lot of heraldry on my Shieldlands campaign, where I use in heraldry some ancient cultist heraldry, some Flan heraldry, and some other stuff coming in a couple of days. And then there will be another batch of heraldry for all my patrons coming soon too. So that is coming this week. And then we have the fantasy mapping show on Friday as well.
Yes, and I'm trying to. I can't. I'm multitasking way too much here, and I'm gonna blow my. Yeah.
That's
hold on. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm multitasking way too much, trying to get stuff going up. Give me a sec here. So the fantasy mapping show is going to be a good one. It's going to be a real good show here. I don't know where I put anything this week. It's crazy. I'm trying to put them in a chronological order. Then this, in reverse chronological order, then this, then that. Okay, I got it now.
Okay,
my
you're
gosh.
good. Yep.
All right, so we'll go over that in a second here. All right, what else is going on? Here we go. Let me flip screens.
I guess you need to start with tomorrow.
Yes, I'm going to start with tomorrow, and then we'll get to. So tomorrow night, Importance of a Great, I spelled apocalypse wrong because I'm an idiot. Importance
No,
of a
but
Great
it's good.
Apocalypse, Part 3.
Apocalypse, yep.
Iron Fury. Part 2, Anna, if you remember, was that Thursday night that I had none of my players,
Oh,
and then
yes.
you and Mike
Mhm.
Disney and Taryn
Yep,
and Bones and
We had to
Darling
go up.
played, and then two of my guys showed up last second.
Yeah.
And so we had that group. And remember, we fought the iron, the bronze golem. Remember
Yep.
that was part 2. This is
So
part
here
3
Mhm.
coming up. The prelude into my reworking of the Doom Grinder because it sucks. I'm sorry to be blunt, but let's just look. Oh, look, burn, fire, burn. So
Yeah.
we got some neat stuff. So here's the map for tomorrow, already on the table. It looks
Already
kind
on
of
fire.
similar to Saturday night because I only have so many hours in a day, but I got the storyline all worked out. But these are burning, yeah, burn.
Mhm.
So there
Yep.
you go. That'll be a fun adventure. It'll probably be 2 weeks, a 2-week adventure. Thank you, Justin. Hang in there. We're going to do the giveaway shortly, and that is tomorrow night, Friday night. And go over what the fantasy mapping show is about. If you don't mind.
Friday, I thought it was time for us to start digging into the basics of if you want to draw or paint your own map, so to speak, from scratch, to start using tools like Photoshop, GIMP, and similar tools to draw or paint your maps. So we're going to talk a little bit about the basics and what concept, what things do you need to learn and look into, and a little bit about the hardware. What kind of things do you need in order to set this up? And then there will be ticks and trips. I know especially Alyssa probably has a whole hour of awesome cool tips and tricks and stuff that we're going to show. And then come and ask questions about it and stuff like that. So it will be about drawing and painting your maps, the very basics. What do you need to get set up? What tools to use? What things to focus on learning and stuff to get started.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this discussion. Note that we have, of course, our wonderful sponsors there. Frog God for that have stepped up with $225 gift certificates again. So we will have that. So it'll be a really nice one.
And we would love to have Eric Annenson on. That will be an honor to
have
him
absolutely.
So if you want to come to the Fantasy Mapping Show, please, or the Legends of Lore or something, please.
Yeah, just reach out to me or Anna or Casey, and we'll get it all organized.
Yes, that will be fantastic.
Casey's telling me we have Ket next week, and
perfect.
So here's a little quick story. I'm so burnt out from the fundraiser, and I'm panicking Sunday night. I'm like, Anna, besides the Fantasy Mapping Show and Legends Lore, I don't have anything planned. I forgot I had Ed on this weekend. I mean, how the heck do I forget that?
Yeah, but I had a couple of days of recovery too, so I'm just starting to get going today. I basically was in some sort of brain fog for Monday, Tuesday as well.
So Gary, that's in the works, and I can't say anymore. Okay? I can't say anymore. It's in the works.
Cool.
I have an NDA.
Oh, good.
Yeah. No, it's something like that.
You wrote it yourself, but it still applies.
Is that why you were looking for me on Sunday? I don't know. I don't remember why that would be. It's just too much going on. So nothing on Saturday this weekend, but something on next Saturday we'll get to in a second. But Sunday night, what a show this is going to be. Villains of Greyhawk in the Realms with Eric Mengi and the Ed Greenwood, Anna and me. It'll be a fun. I know Eric Boyd's chomping at the bit to come on a little bit. I may see if he wants to hop on too. But note that we're going to be giving away Ed's legendary one of the few non-Forgotten Realms publications. The Endless Stare. All right, so. We're going to give that away.
Original D&D stuff.
Original D&D, so reprints on that with a little game we're going to be playing. I know I sound like Ed on that NDA. So everything in the realms is villainous to Greyhawk. Well, think about this, Gary. The whole storyline for my Doom Grinder remake was from Ed's idea from the one show where he gave up the demigoddess trapped in the god trap now. So that's where it's all going. So just note that, but it's all Greyhawk. So, I mean, wonderful, wonderful discussion. We love Ed. We love Ed so much that 2 Drink Minimum comes back a week from Saturday. And I have a feeling, This may be a record game as far as attendance viewership goes, because it's our first time we have someone from actually from Hollywood, a real, Todd Stashwick will be here. You know him in a ton of things. He's been like 200 different shows. Last one he did, big show, was the 12 Monkeys TV show for like 4 years. He's also has a really neat giveaway that we're doing. Todd has a book he wrote here. It's Mystic Libations, Critical Cocktails for the Thirsty Adventurer. So we're going to give away one of these signed by Todd on that Saturday night. All right. So that will be a really cool thing. Anna will be playing that as well, along with Tony Winslow Brill. MJ Russell will be playing in that too. It's going to be a fun game that on March 5th, Saturday, March 5th. And then we'll go on, see what other thing. Todd will also be at GaryCon, and I am playing in a game he's DMing Saturday. So I can't wait.
See
Really
if
cool.
I can get signed up when they open for silver badges. but
Yeah, and
it's
I
probably
told you where
Yeah.
Which one it was. So
Yep,
see if we can get
I
into
have the
that.
link.
You
We'll
need to
see.
get
Yeah.
right on that immediately, or you can have Josh cheat for you. Josh cheat. So there you go. Yeah,
That
get
might
on in
work.
that
Yep.
game. So hopefully you enjoyed. Nerdy Cocktail book you don't own, Casey. So you got a chance, as good a chance as anyone, as long as you're a sub. You get that extra ticket in the drawings. But hopefully you enjoyed tonight. Sorry about the damn internet thing that
Yep.
just wonked out on us. But we got a lot of great stuff coming up. Note in the works too, like we have Ket next Wednesday. Malden's coming on sometime in March on a Gabbin with a special guest, secret special guest, to talk about his Greyhawk City map. It looks like I'm hopeful Luke Gygax will be coming on right before GaryCon. And we'll have probably one other Saturday night special event. Tim's game is Saturday morning on the 19th. There's Barbarian game. We got that. We got so much content coming in the month of March.
Yep.
So I'm really excited. And let's do these giveaways, okay? You get your choice. I got 3 of them. If you're outside the continental U.S., I'll make some kind of deal with you. But here we go. All right, so you got Abastor, Shady Dragon Inn, and a Den of Thieves. First person will get their choice. Thank you for the level 5 hype train when we started today. That was awesome. Thank you so very much. So here we go. I'm going to close this out. Vamp, you're in already. I'm sure about that. And Earthscribe just got in. And Armin. Is GaryCon? Yes, there is a virtual aspect to GaryCon. So if you go to tabletop events, you can still sign up with an ethereal badge. It is virtual. I mean, we're in person, all 3 of us are. But yes, it is a virtual event too. And they're looking. I still think there's opens for virtual DMs and virtual games. Yeah, absolutely. All right, I'm closing this out. We're good here. And we'll have our normal giveaways during an STL night. We have 2 tomorrow night for Infinite Dimensions games, and then we'll have a Reaper one Reaper for people who don't have a 3D printer tomorrow night. Okay. All right. Entries are closing, and here we go. It didn't reset. It didn't reset when I crashed. It kept it. The first winner, yeah. Streamlabs doesn't reset. Zump. Congrats, Zump. You pick me. You tell me which one, Zump.
Zump.
You tell me which one, Zump. I know you're on. Next winner, Bones. I will give. I think Bones. I will give Bones. And she's still on. I will give Bones the last one of the 3. All right. So Zump, Shady Dragon. You got it, Zump. So whichever one this next person doesn't pick, Zump, Bones will get. All right. Last one. Dorgrim. Dorgrim, your choice.
Congratulations.
Dorgrim, your choice. So, all right, Dorgrim, you tell me which one you want. That adventure, yes. Abastor is awesome. All right, so Den of Thieves will go to Bones. All right. So now,
Okay, well,
what was it, Mac? What's the name of that stream? I'll throw this bone to you. Okay. Was it Big Trouble in Little China? What's his name?
It was impossible, and then it made it happen. Yep.
Yeah. What's the name of that stream? I will raid into them. Okay. Mac, why not? So,
Bipolar dice roller.
bipolar
Yep.
disorder. What was the name of theirs again?
Bipolar dice roller.
I was close.
Yep.
All right, I will do this one. I will do this one as a solid for you. Okay.
So now, David, now you owe Jay a big one.
Yes, because that's the way I'm thinking here. So thank you. Yeah, you got it, Earth. I'm sorry. I mean, freaking crazy stuff.
Yeah.
going
Thank
on.
you, everyone.
All right, we'll see you tomorrow night for a great game. Lots of fire. All right, in that game. And then we'll see you Friday night and then Sunday evening for Egg Greenwood. So give me a Saturday off here. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Anna. Great show. Talk to you all tomorrow. And Jay's going to hit the wrong button.
Bye.
All right, let me set the rate up. Please sit tight, and then we're going to go in here. So that way, Matt can't say I never did anything for him. Ha ha ha! Bipolar disorder. Bipolar dice. Oh my gosh, do I remember that? Bipolar dice roller, there we go. Go and say hi, Raid. Look at that. 84, 85, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See you all tomorrow night. Have a good evening.
We're getting good numbers even on the
Yeah, even
where we have no guests or nothing.